Echo 5, do you copy? Echo 5.
Echo 2, good morning. Nice of you to drop by.
Feeling alright, sir? Thought we lost you.
Right now, I feel like I can take on this whole podcast myself.
I know what you mean. Ready to send that transmission to Echo Base?
Yes, sir. R10, patch through.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Hoth Transmissions. We are continuing our adventures through the Book of Boba Fett, and we'll be discussing the 4th episode. And guys, I've got to tell you, it's kind of a refresh from last episode. You heard me talk with a couple of my buddies last episode, and we've got Echo 5 back here. And we're going to be talking about the highlights, kind of what we really liked about this episode, and some of the cool Easter eggs that you guys may have missed. So keep on listening. So just to jump into it, how did you like this episode?
I liked it. I'll be honest, I've liked every episode of this show so far, to be honest. I enjoy all the flashbacks. I'm excited for them to be over and to actually just move on to the main story, the present story of Boba Fett building his family, building his little you know throne, so to speak, his little mini empire, through loyalty and through respect, as he says. Um, I've actually enjoyed flashbacks all the way up through this episode. I like how we were able to finally have it all connect, in a good way, which we'll talk about, all the way up to him meeting Fennec. Um, I didn't, so I'm guessing you weren't too fond of last episode, the third episode.
Oh no, I really enjoyed it. Like,
Oh, okay.
don't get me wrong.
You made it sound like you weren't like too into it, but which is
I mean,
whatever.
I had some hangups about it, and you guys will
Yeah.
get like the full gist of it if you jump into the last podcast. Um, I just really wasn't big into the whole Spy Kids thing, the whole modifiers.
Yeah.
It took a little
Yeah,
time
yeah.
getting used to it, only because you're so used to Tatooine being a brown and dry desert planet, and they're used to seeing like Jawas, Tusken Raiders. Even in the prequels, you kind of see it as kind of like not much color. And so the last episode is just like, oh, let's do all this color. Even jumping into this episode with Boba Fett showing up in the flashback, walking over to the modifier station, seemed a little out of place, but you gotta expect that in a galaxy that's so diverse.
Well,
Like,
I know we're going to talk about stuff four, but the third episode, I actually think what I enjoyed the most in that episode was the flashback parts. Not much happened. All the action was in the second episode with the train.
oh yeah,
But I enjoyed the simple scenes where he show up in the Tusken Raiders. All the tribe is all wiped out, and it's playing that sad music, and he's just kind of. There's some really awesome shots of him on the Bantha. Um, One of those, some of those overhead shots of him and just him in the desert in the Bantha. I thought were like
yeah, and
super cool.
yeah, like
But
it had similarities to Attack of the Clones with Anakin carrying Shmi
yeah,
after her death. Boba Fett was doing the
yeah,
same thing to one of the Tusken Raiders, and I
yeah,
thought that was kind of really cool. And for me, I think a lot of my favorite parts about the second episode was a lot of the tie-ins to the nostalgic value of the prequels.
yeah,
And I did enjoy the Spy Kids. I know we could call them the Spy Kids; they're called the Modifiers, but
yeah.
like
Modified droid bodies.
basically, yeah. And like I said, I don't know. They just seemed a little off to me, but I want to see more character development. I think we'll be seeing it in the future episodes.
Again, what I'm excited about in this episode is we finally got to finish the flashbacks. As much as I liked them, it was really creative how they had all those flashback scenes, and then they would jump to the present scene, and it was a full story on both sides of the spectrum. But
Yeah,
I'm excited to just get one linear story and just follow Boba Fett building up his crew. That's what I'm looking forward to. As much as I enjoyed the flashbacks, because I did, but I'm glad that it's not going to be the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of wondering the same thing. It's like I was enjoying the flashbacks a lot more than I actually enjoyed the actual main story arc. Because I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, well, him and the Tuscans, him defending the Tuscans, him and doing all of his other stuff, whatever, is really cool.
Yeah.
I cared more about that than I did him actually building his whole family and
Mm-hmm.
taking over the Fortuna's empire, basically. I'm beginning to see that
Yeah, fine.
the flashbacks are actually playing a big part in the main story arc, and that it was
Well, that's
necessary.
what I'm wondering if that's something from those flashbacks as a story. I'm wondering if that Tuscan warrior, for example, that we haven't seen the dead body of, might show up at the end to help him defeat the Pikes, which it looks like that's kind of where the story's heading. So
Yeah,
they're gonna basically,
I hope she survived. I really liked her as a character.
yeah. Which again, yeah,
Her
we're
and the
assuming it's
kid.
a
The
her.
kid
Yeah.
was hilarious.
And the kid could be back too. We didn't see the kid's body. I don't remember seeing the kid's body. I could be wrong,
But
but I don't.
you just assume they're all dead though.
Yeah, and that
And it'd be
might be
kind of
the
random
thing
for
too.
both the Tuscan chick and the kid to
It,
survive. That'd be such a random duo to survive
I
that
think
whole
it would just be
scenario.
that'd be if anything, if just one of them showed up
Yeah,
and actually had survived, that would be really cool. But you're right. It pretty much showed us that they're pretty much all dead. But one thing I
I would
like in the
love to see the
flashbacks,
Tuscan chick to survive though, because she's pretty badass.
yeah, no, she was super cool. I want to get I want to get a figure of her. I hope they make a Black Series figure of her
I'm sure they
or
will.
a vintage. I actually like that. I like the vintage ones. I like those classic 3/4 inch figures.
True,
But
true.
there's several. I actually want. I want to get a Fett in the hood as well. Or it would be really cool to get a Boba Fett on the Bantha. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no. You know what? I'm actually surprised they haven't shown is
Hmm.
the what you call it the
The Rontu?
no, it's what the well them too, but what the sand troopers ride on.
Oh, a Dewback.
Dewback, yes, yes. I forgot. I couldn't think of their names for the life of me.
Wow, I
I'm
forgot
actually
about
surprised we
those.
haven't seen any Dewbacks
Yeah, you're right.
because they
Huh.
focus so much on the Banthas, but I feel the Dewbacks are just as prominent as the Dewbacks.
Yeah, that is interesting. Of they've even introduced a new creature and they still didn't show a Dewback, which is interesting.
Yeah,
So
because
anyway,
like we
yeah,
started like the flashback of Boba and he's riding a Bantha throughout the desert, and it's kind of cool that you kind of get to see him going through the desert. And I remember in like the original trilogy, them walking was what was it? 3PO was walking through the desert and we see a Krayt Dragon in the background.
yeah.
This time we see the bones of Bantha, and I thought that was
Yeah,
kind of
hey,
cool.
turn off
So
the
it's not
back.
like every creature can survive out there, even the
Yeah,
Banthas.
yeah. No, you're right.
And so my huge question is like, okay, so this planet used to be like this green and lush planet, right?
With this, yeah.
So how the heck did these creatures survive before then? Or how did they even survive this whole change? Or are these new creatures that were brought?
Maybe
Or are
because
these creatures just really good at adapting?
I think they're good at adapting. I think they've lived there so long that they know where to find the nutrients for life. We saw that one scene where Boba Fett was digging and they find the
Oh yeah,
water,
true.
and there's probably areas they know where to dig and find water. It looks like there's none out there, but we've learned from
How
the
did
show that
those
there's actually
plants get up there?
exactly. I have no idea, but seems like they've evolved over the years,
Yeah,
possibly.
I mean
So
evolution definitely plays a role, I'm sure. Because
absolutely,
I was
it
even
is.
thinking like, imagine this planet like full of forests and oceans and all this stuff. So you had these Krayt dragons. I'm kind of assuming that these were like water creatures. Krayt dragons were like water creatures, and
Have to
somehow
be
they
land
evolved
creatures.
into just swimming through sand. It's kind of
Yeah,
terrifying, if you ask me, but
yeah, it is. It's
very interesting.
like Dune, worms.
Yes, exactly, and that's kind of what I'm feeling with
Yeah,
this.
yeah, it's cool. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's interesting. And it's funny. So Tatooine's got his two sons. It's got 3 moons. I remember seeing a clear shot of those moons. First time I actually remember seeing a clear shot of those moons. This could have I could have seen it
Were
before
those in
that.
the
First time,
originals or the prequels?
yes, when Anakin's attacked the Tusken camp to rescue his mom on a ledge at night, and there's a shot, and you see a clear shot of the moon. It's actually, I think it's actually one of the best shots, best shot actually in my opinion, of an Attack of the Clones. It's Anakin waiting, he's looking out, and you see the Tusken camps blow, and you hear like some faint echoes of the Tuskens kind of cry, and then you see
Right.
Anakin jump off the huge cliff before he starts sneaking around the camp. But yeah,
Oh,
there's a really clear shot of the 3 moons right there.
interesting. I actually don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, I'll text you a picture of it if you can remind me. I know exactly where to find it. It's a really super awesome shot actually.
Yeah, it actually sounds like a really cool shot. Um, yeah, yeah, either post it on the Instagram or shoot it to me because I'd be really interested in
So
checking it out.
wait, if
Because
anything, maybe I'll if you can find the shot. Well, if you find me the shot on Boba Fett, then we'll do like a parallel post. I can find that shot. We can do a parallel back to back of the moons,
dude, that'd be dope. I
and you can actually
it's
name
done.
them too.
Oh, they actually have names.
I don't remember them off the top of my head. Um, Names for them.
But I mean, like that's the cool thing about Star Wars. It's so in depth that like every little thing, every little detail has a name to it. Like
The
I didn't
moons
even know
are.
like the moons of Endor had like all these different names.
I actually remember the first time I saw Return of the Jedi. I thought Endor was the planet. I didn't realize it was a gas giant, and Endor is just one of the moons. It's one of the moons of Endor, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Because they even
which
call it the
was,
first moon of Endor.
and that's actually one thing I did like in Rise of Skywalker is I like how they went to one of the moons of Endor and the ruins of the second Death Star were still there, which was I thought that was actually really cool. And it was Kef Burr, but
Yeah, that's right.
I found that the Tatooine moons, it's Rawson, Giramessa, and Chanini.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But
So
it's
intriguing.
funny that they even have detail on that, which is really cool.
I think that's one thing that I really liked with Favreau taking over is that I, like with the sequels we kind of lost that whole aspect of the whole nostalgic value. Like yeah, we got
Yeah.
Luke, Han, and Leia, but we didn't get as much of them as we were anticipating. And I feel with
I'm still bummed out we never got a scene with them all together.
yeah, I mean I am too, but I do have to appreciate Favreau for taking Mandalorian and more so with the Boba Fett and tossing a lot of these Easter eggs and kind of tying in a lot of nostalgic value.
In my opinion, the best personally, the Star Wars I've enjoyed the most, aside from the originals, the original Lucas 3, is John Favreau's work, starting with the Clone Wars and then Mandalorian. I think, and then
Yeah,
so far Boba Fett have actually been my favorite Star Wars. I did like Rogue One. My personal favorite Star Wars has been, um, besides the original, has been the John Favreau Star Wars. It just feels right. I don't know. It works for me.
no, like I even hear that Favreau is trying to redo the sequels. Like he wants to redo 8 and 9,
That would be super cool. You know, he would
but
own it.
he would. And granted, like based off of what you guys
And
know of us
yeah,
posting and just my thoughts, like I didn't really care for the sequels. I liked Force Awakens. I didn't love it. I liked Force Awakens, but just
I did
after
too.
that, it was kind of for me. It was just kind of whatever.
I
But
liked 80% of Force Awakens, and then
yeah,
there's a small portion I didn't like, but for the most part, I like it. It's a solid film,
but
and I
after
did like
that,
Rogue One too. I liked Rogue One too.
yeah. But as far as going like the sequels, it's like I wouldn't really want to see them remake the sequels. The sequels are there. We gotta accept them.
They are
There's
what they are.
parts of there's parts of them that we like. There's parts of them that we dislike. But as far as Carrie Fisher's like last bit of work, I I think she did fantastic,
Yeah,
and
and
I wouldn't want to rewrite that.
I don't think they'll be remade because of that too, because that'd be kind of disrespectful to her and her family. You know, I don't think that they'll do that for that reason. Um, Going back just a little bit, how did you like some of those actions to Mandalorian leading up in the flashbacks, like the flare you saw out in the night sky, and
Dude,
then
I
you
thought that
you
was
realize what's
actually really
going on?
cool.
That was
I didn't
awesome.
catch it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't catch it at first. I saw him standing there and the flares. I was like, "Oh, what are those?" I'm like, "Those are really cool." But then it took me a minute to figure out. It's like, "Oh, okay, that's from the Mandalorian." So you're getting Boba
Distraction.
Fett's
Yeah,
perspective, yeah. And I thought that was actually really cool.
super cool.
And so it kind of that's what I'm talking about. It's like I like how it ties into everything. Like I
Yeah,
have a coworker that I got into watching the Book of Boba Fett, and she saw the flares, and I texted her. I'm like, "All right, now you gotta watch the Mandalorian, so you can kind of see the other side of that." And she's like, "What are you
yeah,
talking about?" I'm like, "She's almost to that episode," and I was like, "All right, watch that episode, and you'll understand that scene a little bit better."
yeah, yeah. I couldn't watch Boba Fett without watching Mandalorian. Well, but that's obviously
But I do
a
remember when
well-known.
that episode happened. A lot of people, when you saw that mysterious figure walk up to Fennec as she was
Yeah,
lying there on the ground, everybody was like, "Oh, that's got to be Boba Fett. That's got to be Boba Fett." And I think we discussed it in our podcast too. Like we're kind of leaning
I
towards
know.
it being Boba Fett.
I
And
remember thinking it wasn't Boba Fett, because that's what everybody thought it was going to be, but it actually was. I was like, oh, it is. Um, it was interesting too because shot of that they actually really cool because they literally mimicked the same shot. See the feet walking towards her, like we saw
yeah,
at the end on that end scene on the fifth episode of Mandalorian season one. Um, but in the original Mandalorian one, you could hear the spurs clinking because you hear the
yeah,
spurs and Boba Fett when he's walking around on Empire Strikes Back. So there's just kind of a fun little sound to add for the hardcore fans to notice. But in the Boba Fett shot, you don't hear the spurs. You hear like one quick spur, and that's it. They took that out because he's not actually wearing the armor.
yeah. And that's one thing that a lot of fans speculated at the time. They're like, "Oh, it's got to be Boba Fett. It's got to be Boba Fett." But John Favreau at the time also said, "Oh yeah, Boba Fett's never going to make an appearance in the Mandalorian."
Yeah,
And so that's why I didn't think it was Boba Fett. Like I remember thinking, "Oh, John Favreau won't lie to us." Yeah, boy, was
yeah.
I wrong. I trusted too
Yeah.
much,
I
and
was just
I'm
trying to
glad
throw
I
you
was
off.
wrong. It
Yeah,
did throw me
that
off.
was good.
Like I'm actually happy with it because look what it turned out to. You got Boba Fett showing up at the end of Mandalorian season 2. We got him driving the Slave One into uh, Moff Gideon's ship, and
Yeah,
then we even have an entire spinoff with Boba Fett, which is actually pretty funny. Like, what is up with Boba Fett? Like, seriously, as the same coworker, she's not really a big fan of Star Wars. She's kind
yeah.
of like what you call a casual fan,
Uh-huh.
and she's seen the original
I get
trilogy.
you.
She knows who Boba Fett is, and so her and I we talk about TV shows and all that at work, and so I got her to watch the Book of Boba Fett, and so she texted me. She's like, "I just started watching." Wait, no, that wasn't it. I forget what I texted you because it was pretty funny. Let me see if I can find the text
No,
to say because I'll
she
just read that.
she said she's watching Boba Fett and she said why does Boba Fett keep getting his butt kicked throughout the whole
Basically,
show?
and she's like, "I thought he was like this great warrior, but I just started. I was just
And then
busting up."
she said if it wasn't for around him he would have been dead a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. Here it is. She's like, "I just started watching The Mandalorian now. I thought the Book of Boba Fett was good, but Boba just kept getting his ass whooped, and everyone had to help him and protect him, or else they would have killed him a long time ago."
Yeah.
And it,
I've actually heard similar complaints.
I mean, that's what I kind of thought too. But I mean, like honestly, like, you look at it, it's like you have a character that's OP, right? You can't really make a TV show about him and always win. That would be really
But
boring.
you don't want another complaint about what happened with Ray.
Yeah, exactly. So there's got to be some character development. And we're seeing that he's still struggling from his effects in the the
Which by
Sarlacc
the
pit.
way, actually cool. Sorry,
No, you're good.
why he got scarred,
Continue.
which me and you were talking about one of the previous conversations about why he had to be in the back of the tank, and now we know.
Yeah, I thought it was either that or him being a clone and it being a thing that kind of helped him. But
Yeah,
I like,
yeah.
I like that they kind of like finished that whole aspect of it.
Which makes
But
sense for the acid too, because they mentioned that the Sarlacc, it's it slowly digests them over 1,000 years.
yeah, and his armor protected him. Otherwise, he would have died a long time ago.
Yeah,
But I mean, him getting his butt whooped all the time. It's like honestly, it's like I get it. Nobody's great all the time.
yeah,
And you got to mention like the 2 times that he got attacked was the group of ninjas that surrounded him and Fennec. He wasn't
yeah.
prepared for it, and then he got attacked by a freaking Wookiee while he was sleeping in a back to tank.
And he
How do you
actually held
expect
his
it?
own pretty good. He held his
He
own pretty
did.
good.
What do you
Out
expect
of
him to do?
nowhere.
To be honest, how well would you handle it? Like honestly, I don't think I would have survived much longer after Krasan picked me up out of the back to tank sleeping. So I think
But
Boba
it's going
handled it
back to the
pretty well.
conversation too, though. I think the thing is, when they introduced him in the other episode, the story's not about him. It was about Din Djarin and Grogu, but he had his debut, and they're obviously going to make it too. So obviously he's going to be a little bit OP in that. But in his own story, they're just going to tell the story of him developing. They're not going to just have him win all the time and destroy all the time. It's
That'd
fun
be
to
boring. I'd be bored. I mean,
yeah,
even with Mando got his butt kicked quite a bit, but he also held his own when it
yeah.
mattered. And we're seeing
And
that
they're
same thing with Boba.
well, and with that too, getting their butts kicked and standing up again actually shows a lot of strength too, because they get knocked down, they get up, and they're tough. The
Yeah,
Mandalorians are
exactly.
tough. So
Yeah, so for anybody out there that needs to hear it, it's like if you get knocked down, stand back up. Don't just stay
the
down. Don't give up.
what did you think about that modificator facility with all those basically seeing where the those what did you call them, the group
The
of
modifiers.
bikers, the modifiers, where
So it's kind of
they
interesting
basically get
because
their
like because I was curious how he saved Fennec, right? And we kind of
uh,
got an explanation for how she survived, and it's like okay, it is acceptable. And then now we actually get the behind the scenes of it, quote
yeah.
unquote. And I'm not gonna lie, like even then, like this whole modifier scene seems so out of place for me. It seems so steampunk or cyberpunk or
Yeah, it was a
whatever
little
you want to
interesting.
call it. But I mean,
But
at the same time, it
yeah,
makes sense. Like this is an aspect of Star Wars that exists that we're just not too familiar with. I mean, Luke got his hand chopped off, and now we kind of see that there's people that specialize in reconstructing those type of organs and making it work for you. And on an even darker note, Fennec, like she should have been dead, and this guy
yeah.
like basically tore out her entire stomach and replaced it with a bunch of metal.
He replaced with a bunch. Yeah, that's that does not sound like a fun surgery. They
No,
they kind of show a lot of
it's definitely
technology.
different.
It's they show a lot, they have a nice kind of call to General Grievous and Darth Vader and that sort of mechanical saving technology that Star Wars introduced.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but and then of course it ties into that group of bikers from the
Modify
last episode,
the
the
Spy
modifiers.
Kids.
Yeah, yeah,
Call them the Spy Kids.
the spy kids. Yeah,
But I mean,
so
it makes sense that they're cybernetic doctors, and so I mean, in a world so advanced like this, or a galaxy so advanced as this, and like you mentioned, like we see Darth Vader, we see General Grievous. Of course, there's going to be other aspect or other places around the galaxy that's going to be specializing in all this,
right.
and we just don't think about it because we're so used to seeing the perspective from the Republic and the Jedi. Like honestly, like the Jedi sit there and go chop up people and they kill stormtroopers, they kill Geonosians, they sit there and fight an entire war, they kill clones or whatever. You don't really get to see. Okay, Obi-Wan gets stabbed a couple times. Anakin, he got his leg in. He got his arm chopped off. He gets a robotic arm. Later, gets
Yeah,
his legs and arm chopped off and jumps into a cybernetic suit. Grievous, he's a general that got pretty much destroyed and Palpatine took the advantage and say, "Hey, this guy is a very smart man. Let's see what we can do to save him." And basically, all he had was what?
It's pretty much just his
Basically, his
brain.
heart. Yeah, his
Yeah,
brain and his heart.
yeah,
And Luke gets
yeah,
his hand chopped off, so it's kind of. But we don't really get to see too much of this side in Star Wars. I thought it was actually kind of cool
yeah. You actually
because
be able to see an operation using that
yeah,
technology. Yeah,
yeah. I
that
mean,
was interesting.
definitely different. Definitely different. Not what I'm
No,
like really
and
like.
again, it's cool that I mean when Boba Fett was coming out, Boba Fett, what are they really going to do with this? It's cool that they're constantly introducing or showing us. They're really exploring the world of Star Wars, and I didn't even think Boba Fett would introduce uh, uh, much that we hadn't seen before. A
Yeah, I
lot of
wasn't
times things,
expecting much what we're seeing so
but
far.
yeah, but we're going a lot deeper into the world and learning more things and getting more about what's happening behind the scenes in Star Wars, and we're actually getting to explore this in these shows. But it's cool how even the Book of Boba Fett is going to other areas we haven't actually explored yet, like this mechanical type of technology fixing bodies and whatnot. It is interesting. But did you
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like yeah, like we've seen it before. We just never really saw like the actual process of it, and so that's what's new about it.
What I remember seeing is the B what was it B-12, the droid, the med droid at the end of Empire Strikes Back when he's finishing up Luke's hand and he's kind of poking each finger and testing his sensitivity. And he's all like "ow" like that, and then he kind of moves his hand and then pulls the glove, and then and then you get the end of the movie. But that's the closest I
That's
remember
actually what I
seeing
was thinking of right now.
that. Or of course you get the scene with Vader getting put together, sort of at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
But
Um,
never by an actual human. It's always
no, that's
droids that
true.
are
You're
doing
right.
it,
The
and
droid.
that's what
That
makes
is
it
true.
different. Because we see it as kind of like
Good
with
point.
for them, it's more of a necessity, and then we're jumping into a thing where people are modding themselves on purpose. Like they have nothing wrong; they're just doing it just for recreation.
Almost like it's like a tattoo parlor, but it's like extreme. It's like,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah, that's
you
a
want to
good
get a
analogy.
laser
Yeah.
eye, you want to get it's something that you change that's not really going to be able to be undone, or it's going to be difficult to undo. But
Yeah, and I was talking to Echo 12. He was in our last
uh,
podcast. He was one of our new
uh,
guys,
yeah,
and he was mentioning that it's very similar to the technology that we saw in the prequels, especially with the Neimoidians in Episode One, where they're on the Trade Federation ship with Qui-Gon and Obi
oh,
Wan.
you got the eyes, you got those eyes.
Yeah, they have like the eyes, so it's very similar technology. And so a lot of people, I know a lot of people are complaining about it, but it's like no, no, no. We've seen a lot of this stuff. It's just we're seeing it a different we're seeing it used differently than what we're normally to. We're actually seeing a purpose behind it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so for me, I'm like, okay. At first, I was kind of like, okay, this is a little weird, a little different, but you know what? It's nothing new. It's just it's cool.
It's always been there. It's always been there. We're just getting to see it done. That's all.
Yeah,
And then, like you said, you get to see humans actually doing it. You see that they have the skill as well. It's not just a droid thing.
yeah,
Um,
and it's a little bit more advanced if you think about it. Like
so
seriously, replacing an entire person's stomach to keep them alive.
yeah, it's crazy.
Like
How did
honestly,
you?
does she eat,
The
or
food
is
go?
she like doesn't eat at all, or is it like just like kind of like liquid injections?
Crave anymore? I don't know. That would be terrible.
Yeah, sounds terrible.
On the flashback, how did you like seeing Jabba's palace, the door, the other side of the door, the back door?
Dude, I really liked being able to explore Jabba's palace a lot
Yeah,
more in depth.
yeah.
That's been one of my favorite things of this whole series so far. Because
Where the slave
I
ones
talked
can
about it in Battlefront. Like Battlefront, you got to run around his palace. You got to jump into the Rancor pit. You kind of get a little
yeah.
bit more of the blueprints of the facility.
Uh-huh.
And so in this one, especially with Fennec's little scout droid, I thought it was really cool to be able to see a little bit more of the palace.
Yeah, for sure. That was really cool, and it was cool. So they call the slave one a fire spray. That's a class, right? Like
Yeah, that's the name
Uh,
of the model. It's kind of like similar to like how the Millennium Falcon is a Corellian starfighter
Curly,
or
was it
freight
curly and white?
or a Corellian freight.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fans are kind of upset that they're kind of replacing the name Slave One Fire Spray. Honestly, I mean, I was kind of annoyed with it at first. I'm like, it's always going to be the Slave One to me. I get why they're changing it.
It's the class.
It's just a class. They're not changing the name of the ship. They're just making the class more known and kind of, I want to say, branding it that way. Because
Yeah.
I mean, our society is kind of like forget history. It's like Slave One is kind of demeaning, and I get why they're doing it, but it's like honestly, it's at the same time, people are so offended. They need to chill. It's just a name. It's just a name.
Yeah.
It's a slave.
Yeah.
To me, it's always gonna be the Slave One, and it's not
Yeah.
something that's gonna upset me if they call it the Fire Sprite. To me, it's always gonna be the Slave One. They can call it whatever they want, but it's not gonna affect me any different. It's not gonna make me hate Star Wars. It's not gonna make me cry out like a lot of people are. Like some people are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna watch Star Wars anymore." Disney's trying to change the name of the Slave One to the Fire Sprite. No, no, no. The Fire Sprite is the
No,
class.
they
Slave
just
One's still the name.
no, they just have different. It's just a different class. Like the Millennium Falcon is a YT 1300 light freighter.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
different Corellian freighters that just like the fire spray is. I'll be honest, I don't know what planet the fire spray is from, but it's that
Oh,
class of
if you
ship.
jump back into Legends,
Uh-huh.
so there's a game called the Bounty Hunter, and it's based off of Jango Fett. Jango Fett never had the Fire Sprite. It's his main ship, and the reason why it's called the Slave One is because he ends up going to a planet that is full of prisoners. That's actually where he meets Zam Wazell.
Uh-huh.
And so, in order to escape, he jumps onto this fire spaceship, but it's
Ah,
called the Slave One. And the reason why it's called the Slave One is because it transfers prisoners or
gotcha.
slaves.
Well,
And
the I forget that one of the. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll finish this
no,
point
no,
out.
no, keep going. No, no, no. That was pretty
I
much
was
the end of
just
my
gonna.
thought.
No, just another thought. The fire spray is actually it's manufactured in the Kuwait, which is where the Star Destroyers were created. There's a lot of the ships were made in Kuwait. It was a big ship manufacturing planet, and that's where the fire spray 31 class ship was created, which is the slave one, or that style of ship was created
Yeah,
there. So
interesting.
yeah,
A lot of ships are made over on the Quad system. It's very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
It's interesting that the Slave One was built there because I knew that the Empire used it a lot, but I didn't think that like a lot of the other ships would be built there. But maybe it's like one of those manufacturing planets. You never know. Kind of
yeah.
cool.
It's actually cool when you see it on the. Don't have it in front of me, but on the ships and vehicles encyclopedia for Star Wars. Maybe it's a visual dictionary. I'm pretty sure it's in the ships and vehicles encyclopedia, but you can see the quad system actually has a ring around it that's actually built, like physically built. The ring that's around the
Really
planet. Yeah, it's like a hardcore engineering, manufacturing type planet where they make a lot of ships. So a lot of the ships were actually made there.
how I guess it makes sense why the Empire basically took that spot over because it was built for
Exactly.
it
Yeah, and
and
other planets like
less work for
Corellia
them.
and exactly. Well, they take advantage of resources in the galaxy like Wookiees, for
Yeah,
labor
exactly.
and so they're
Why are
jerks
you
like
gonna
that.
waste
They're an
resources
empire.
to build something when it's already built?
Exactly. Um, talk about this. Find the name of that droid, and I couldn't freaking find it. The one with the little the ears that stick up when he's
Oh, it's like an FE something or LEP
yeah,
droid.
an LEP droid. Yeah, and he showed up. They were in the Clone Wars. Um, kind of cool. They finally got to see a real life one. That's another one of those little Easter eggs we got from the John Favreau Star Wars that we were talking about in the last episode. How Rebels and Clone Wars creations or characters or cameos make appearances in live action in these shows, like the
Yeah, and
Lethal Cat and all those
surprisingly,
other.
it actually was in The Force Awakens. That's where it made its first live action deal. But there's only the
Oh, was he in
voice.
that? Was there? Okay,
There's
I was
only
gonna
the
say
voice.
I'm not surprised. I don't remember seeing him, but I haven't seen The Force Awakens that many times, so I could have missed it. But
Yeah, you can hear the voice, but the actual droid itself was never actually made a physical appearance.
gotcha. Okay,
So, what do you
interesting.
think of the backstory of Fennec? Like, I really liked because like we're watching the series, and we got to see Boba Fett's rise from the Sarlacc and his rise to the Tuscans, and so now we're getting to see his background with Fennec,
Oh, and how
and
they
so
kind
this
of
kind of like
created their
developing
bond.
Fennec's story from the Mandalorian to now.
Uh, First, she just seems like she's like, all right. So how much do you want? I mean, she's used to just being an assassin, being on her own. She's not used to working actually officially with someone else.
Yes, she
Um,
got a cool name, Master Assassin Fennec from the Midrim.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I think it's cool that he's basically like, hey, I can keep you alive and be um, get you well paid and be loyal to you and put my life in your hands if you're willing to do the same.
I
And
mean, at the beginning, he wasn't like willing for that. Like he knew who she was, which is
yeah.
cool. But she knew
Oh,
who
which
she definitely knew who he was.
which
She's like, no, you're dead. You're
not to
not. You
mention
can't be
she
Boba Fett. He died.
yeah, that's why yeah, exactly. Like when she asked who he is and he said he's Boba Fett, she looked surprised. Like she knows who Boba Fett is. He's a legend.
She's like, no, he
That was
died.
actually
He's done.
that was a cool little touch, actually. That was awesome.
And she seemed impressed too. Like I mean, she was afraid. That she's like, no, you can't be Boba Fett. Like he's dead. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you could hear the admiration in her voice, which I thought was kind of really cool. Because that's
Yeah.
one thing that I think that we've really haven't really heard too much in this series. And I'm hoping we get to hear some of it in the next few episodes. Is how renowned, ugh, how renowned Boba Fett is. Like nobody
Yeah.
seems impressed that he's Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like we hear so much about him being like this great bounty hunter, but nobody seems impressed when he walks through the door.
Yeah.
And and for her, she knows who she was or who he was, and so
But
she's
she's
like, okay,
also
you're a bounty hunter. She's like, I'll pay
but
double, whatever.
she's also a bounty hunter, so she's probably they're in the same field, so she's probably more like respectful of him because he was a legend in her eyes.
Yeah, and that's what she's like saying. All right, I'll pay double, and he's like, yeah, I'm not interested in money, but
Yeah.
there's something I need from you. You're worth more alive than you are dead. So let me tell you why I think you're worth more. And so
Yeah.
we got to see something that I've been curious about for the longest time because we know he doesn't have his armor at this point. And I've been talking to a lot of people like, okay, when did he get the slave one? When did he get the ship? And so here we get to see him recover a ship, which I thought was really cool. And they made a big deal about it. It wasn't like something easy for him to do.
No.
Because they're
Yeah,
like,
they had a cool little yeah.
she's like, why don't you just go in and ask for it? If it's yours, they'll give it to you. He's like, I'm afraid I'm not gonna like the answer, so let's do it this way. Let's just break
Yeah.
it and steal it. And I
Cool.
actually
That's
thought
more
that was a really cool action scene.
did you also notice they had a COO 2180 droid? It's the cook droid from Attack of the Clones when he says like, "Hey, get out of here, no droid."
Oh yeah, which first appeared in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, on the freighter that was taking Anakin and Padme to Naboo.
Yes, exactly. I
Yeah,
thought
that
that
was
was really
cool.
cool. I
Yeah,
took me a minute to remember that, but I thought that was really cool.
yeah,
And
and he
then
kind of had that.
I think I posted something about it. It was like I posted a picture of General Grievous with a cook's hat on. I was like, guys,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
He's
this isn't a
doing.
spoiler, but if you watch the show, you'll get the reference. And I thought it was pretty funny.
um, yeah, them getting the slave one back though was actually really cool. Um, It was I love all those shots of the slave one flying around in the setting sun of Tatooine, and really cool shots again, like we've been seeing in the show. Um, and I love how he heads over to the biker gang, just freaking
Dude, I think
lights
that
them
might.
up.
I'm not gonna lie. I think that might be my favorite scene of the whole episode.
And then I like how he pulls out that missile, like the one that he shoots at Obi-Wan and Attack the Clones. Like, this is why I hate flying, you know.
Oh
I
yeah,
like when
that's right.
he takes the leader out with that missile and just blows him up, falling missile.
Dude,
Which,
seriously,
which was cool. It's
that
cool to
was
see those missiles
brutal.
again. Just
Brutal.
blew just blew him up. And then Fennec just looks at him like gives him the nod. Like, yeah, I approve, those guys are assholes. Yeah.
Yep. Based on the history, uh,
Yeah.
I respect your decision.
Yeah, I respect that decision.
Kill all of them. They deserve it.
It was, it was cool,
They
but
stood no chance.
it seemed kind of random at that. It just seemed like he was checking some boxes there. He's like, all right, now we got that. Now we got that. Okay. Now let's go to the Sarlacc pit and piss off the Sarlacc. Let's see if
Right.
I can get my
So
armor now. Yeah.
before we jump over to the Twilight Pit, like I want to just like kind of like talk about a little bit of the conspiracy going on. So he in the last episode he meets with the Pike Gang. They're blaming everything on the Kinton
Oh,
Striders.
okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
What if it wasn't the biker gang that actually took out the Tusken Riders? Because even Fennec was like surprised. Like, what?
She was surprised. Yeah.
She's like, really? They took out a whole group of Tusken Raiders? That seems so unlikely. I'm thinking it was the Pike gang that came in and took revenge, especially
Well,
after they
because
took
that's
over the train. And they're sitting here
right,
threatening them, saying, "Oh, you pay tribute to us because we own this land."
exactly.
I don't think the Pike
And then
gang really liked it. I think the
and
Pike
then
gang is who took out the Tusken Raiders,
no, you're probably right.
and they blamed it on the bikers. And so Boba Fett's taking out his revenge on the wrong people.
I think you're probably about right because after that, right before the town got wiped out, he went out and he had met with the Pikes. It was basically requesting demands, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't seem too happy about that. And then when he came back, they were wiped out. It just didn't seem like a coincidence. And then it's how
Yeah,
hard is it to sit there and just draw the logo to
yeah,
pin it on
exactly.
them, you know?
So
So you're probably
that's my
right.
little theory for the next few episodes. I think we'll learn a little bit more about that.
I think I'm on board with that too. I think either they were in league or they were set up and it was actually the Pikes.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool story direction for it, and a little bit more meaning of why the Pikes are the enemy. Not to mention they're challenging his territory, but it'd be more emotion behind Boba Fett wanting to take them out.
Exactly. Exactly. So, um, so yeah, so he so he goes. That was an interesting the ship over the Sarlacc, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go inside." I was thinking like the way I was with Fennec on that. I was like, "What are you doing
Yeah,
that close to the Sarlacc? That's not a good." I don't know if he's thinking he killed him when he used his torch, his flamethrower. You know,
I actually thought it did die because I thought he like ripped it apart and killed it, but it was just a
yeah, he
little
torched it.
injury.
Yeah, and it was freaking out that the beak he came out and that was like that jump kind of it's like quiet. You knew it was coming because it was all quiet. You knew it. I was like, oh gosh, here comes that jump scene.
Dude, and not to mention what was it, the concussion grenade or whatever.
The seismic charge.
Yeah, the seismic charge. I was waiting for that. I was not
You see?
actually. I wasn't waiting for that. I wasn't
Oh
expecting it.
gosh, yeah.
And they
Fire in
did.
the
I'm like,
hole.
basically, and I was like, damn. I'm like, all right, cool. John Favreau did it. I'm like, every. That's one thing I like about like John Favreau. Like a lot of them see the memes. I'm sure they're on Instagram. They see a lot of this. They look at a lot of the same stuff that we do, and
They're fans. Yeah.
yeah, and so they can kind of see what we're excited to see, and they'll throw in something. Okay, a lot of people love the seismic charge sound, so let's just
Yeah.
throw this in
That's
there real
definitely a
quick,
favorite.
just excite the fans. And a lot of people got excited for it, and there's a lot of stuff that they've been doing, and I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
That was a fun way to kill the Sarlacc actually. It's like boom. It's the book of Boba Fett, man. We're seeing him tie up all these loose ends.
Don't touch my buttons.
Yeah, he's literally checking all the boxes in this show, man. He's getting his revenge everywhere. He's setting up his building his fame and cleaning up any messes or any beefs he's got with anybody. He's taking care of it. He doesn't mess around, man.
Yeah, and I like that Fennec was like, next time we stick to the plan. And so I wasn't expecting Fennec to really join Boba so quickly. I was expecting a little bit more of a
Pushback.
yeah, like I don't know, like he saved her life, yeah, and then she's like, okay, we get your ship, then my debt is paid. And then
Yeah.
he's like, oh, all right, I'm gonna go off where you want me to drop you. She's like, oh, where are you headed? Like, I don't know if it's like the admiration that she saw in the legend of the name Boba Fett that she's like, you know what, let me stick with them. Or if she was just really impressed with how they escaped, which I feel like she did most of the work.
Yeah.
As far as like killing everybody and keeping everybody off the slave one as they escaped. I know he was focusing more on the piloting. I'm not gonna really say Boba didn't do much, but
Yeah.
but they definitely made a great duo, and I was expecting her to not join him so easily.
Yeah.
But
No, well,
it just seemed really quick.
and it was cool to have everything kind of wrapped up in the flashback. How
Mm-hmm.
you finally get to see that you finally get to see the Mandalorian story kind of merge with Boba Fett and see where he's
Yeah,
at and like I was saying in the beginning of this podcast when we first started talking, as much as I enjoy those flashbacks and seeing the background, it is going to be nice to just finally just see what's happening in the present. Because and at the same time we were able to learn about the reason he's in the back of the tank. They mentioned clearly that it's from the acid from the Sarlacc,
mm-hmm.
and that they say that he's completely healed. Which I don't know about you, but
Means no more flashbacks.
exactly that's what I got from that. I'm like, okay, that's cool. It's going to be interesting now. That means we've got 5, 6, 7. We got 3 episodes now, right? Of
Yeah,
just the
4
present
episodes.
story. Yeah, and
Oh yeah, you're talking about the next ones. Yeah, 3 episodes left. That's just gonna
five,
be
6.
all present.
It seems
And
like
coming back to the Sarlacc figure, okay, I just want to touch
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing. It's
Go ahead.
like I really liked how they, because in the first episode you kind of see him in the pit and he's escaping, and so you kind of see like this little bit of horror aspect. Then you jump back into this where he's searching into the Sarlacc pit, and it kind of gave more of a suspenseful vibe. And honestly, that's something I want to see more in any future Star Wars projects.
Yeah, it's
Because
definitely
I was waiting for that jump scare, because like you have it from the perspective of the slave one, they're like sitting there going in, they have the flashlight on, and then you're just waiting for something to jump out at you.
yeah, this is creepy, super
Yeah, it's
creepy.
super creepy, and I'm not really expecting anything out of the Book of Boba for that, but I'd be interested to see a jump scare Star Wars at some point.
Like a horror
I don't know
story.
why, but it just seems like it fit.
Yeah, that was good. Oh, that was some creepy stuff in Star Wars, man.
Yeah,
Um,
and
uh,
then they sit around that campfire, and she's talking to him about, okay, why do you want to take over the family? And I kind of agree with him on this aspect. It's like he talks about, he's like, stupid people run things, and she's saying like, you can't just walk away for hunters. This is what I'm meant for. And he's like, you know what? I'm tired of working for
yeah,
people.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, that was good. Yeah,
I'm tired of working for people that are going to get me killed. They're just all idiots. I think I can run it better. And he's like, I'm smarter. I can make more money. I can save more lives. And then I think that's one of the things that really drew her in. It's like, all right, you're with me. So if you stick with me, I'll cut you in on the deal.
yeah,
And you were talking about earlier, he promised that loyalty. He's like, you're not going to find anybody more loyal than I am.
yeah. That's one
He's
of
like,
those things.
I'll protect you with my life. I will do whatever. As long as you stick by me, you're with me.
You kind of get that throughout the show. You see him, you see a lot of flashbacks even back when he was a kid of his dad leaving. He's getting left alone a lot, and
This is the first time that he gets a family. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He never had one, and he mentions that you know you can only get so far without a tribe, And it just
Yeah,
seems like
I
that's
really like that because she was like saying, "Oh, you're weak because the Tuscans made you weak,"
yeah, the
and
Tuscans made you weak.
he's like, "No, they made me stronger. You can only get so far with our family or without a tribe."
You're always stronger with more than just yourself.
Yeah, and he's like, "They made me stronger," and
Yeah.
so I thought
No,
that
you
was a
need
kind of a
support.
really cool thing
You need
because a lot of
basically he realizes you need support. Strong. You can't just do
I mean, you
everything
really
yourself.
do. You can't, and honestly, you get weaker by thinking you can do everything by yourself, but admitting that you need help is probably one of the strongest things that he can do. And he's like, you know what? I need to build a family because we can be so much better, so much stronger without than what I can do alone. It's like, yeah, I'm a bounty hunter. I can work for people. I can make money, but I will be so much better off if I can create a whole system. So I'm going to take over Bib Fortuna's palace, and I'm going to run a family. I'm going to make alliances with all these different groups among the city. We're going to be better, stronger, and we're going to thrive better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Um,
Um,
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
so
I was
no,
gonna
no, no.
mention I was gonna mention that the like chrysanthemum.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like speaking of like being stronger and better, I feel like Chrysanthemum's gonna like be joining Boba Fett a little bit more. I think
That's
he's gonna be a big part of the next 3 episodes.
I was really waiting for. I was like, when he left on the last episode, he just runs off. He's like, oh, I can go. He runs off. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, you got to join Boba. But I'm thinking, okay, he's probably gonna show up later. There's gonna be something there. And I love how he's staring down those. So he's sitting in that bar, right? When he walks in there,
Yeah,
beef with those Trandoshans. He's just staring at them. He's just watching them
I
argue,
wonder
and
what that's about. To be honest.
I
Oh
think it
wait, maybe
is.
it's because the Trandoshans were like slave owners. They're basically the slave owners during the Empire,
Got it right there. I think that's exactly what it is. Wookiees do
and we
not
even
like
see it during the
Trandoshans.
Clone Wars. Like the Trandoshans basically take Wookiees and hunt,
Yeah.
play like the was it
Well,
what is it
and
called?
and
Yeah,
the fact that he was a gladiator, so he was totally a slave, and they probably
yeah,
enslaved him. So he's just staring at
could
these
be.
guys,
And so
and
that's
then
his little beef
yeah,
with them.
exactly. Yeah, that was funny. And then I like how I forgot the girl's name, but I like how that girl comes out and kind of tries to calm down and just tell him, "Oh, you've already won your
Tries to appeal to his
victory."
ego. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
she's smart for doing that. So you don't sit there and tell somebody, "Oh yeah, you need to calm down. You need to calm down." Oh, let me appeal to your ego first and say, "Oh yeah, you don't need to be doing this because you're this, this, and this."
The Twip, that was her name. She the Twi'lek. Yeah, she's trying to calm down and tell him about it, all his great deeds he did in the arena and all these things that accomplished. And he's like, okay, huh? He's just still pulls the arm off the guy. He's like, I'm not done with this.
Dude,
She was just
I love that they did that because I know with like the original trilogy and whatnot, or even the sequels, like I was expecting Chewbacca to rip somebody's arm off. I thought they were gonna do that, but they didn't.
yeah.
And I'm glad that we got it here. And
Well,
that was another thing. I don't know, continue.
they had it in a deleted scene in Force Awakens where Unkar Plutt
That's right, they
actually ends up
did.
showing up on Takadana in the
That's
club,
right.
and Chewie rips his arm off.
But they took it out because they thought it was too dark. And here we get
Yeah,
it. Dr.
yeah,
Stanton.
yep.
And I saw another tie-in because I, I remember we don't have the podcast up, but I do remember talking about the sequels and them talking. What was it? When Chewie got shot and he's inside the ship, and the one lady's like talking to him like he's a kid, saying, "Oh yeah, yeah, you'll be fine." Blah blah, blah whatever she said. She's talking
Yeah.
to Chewie like he was like
You're
some
you're
stupid
you're
child.
so brave.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so I'm wondering if that's just kind of like a Wookiee trait. It's like they're very temperamental, but they're very childlike. And
That could
so
be.
when the Twi'lek came out and started talking to Chrysanthemum, the way she was talking to him kind of reminded me of the way that that one doctor was talking to Chewie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe you got to talk to him in a certain way to be able to appeal to a certain
No, that's
personality
a good
trait to
point.
calm them down.
I could see
And so
that.
I'm wondering if that's a, yeah, so I'm thinking that's like a Wookiee thing.
Yeah.
It's like they're so emotional, but you got to talk to them a certain way. And so she was kind of appealing to their
Good
ego,
point.
like just like they were
Yeah.
talking to Chewie. It's like, oh yeah, you're so brave, and that'll calm Chewie down from his shot. This comes out and it's like, oh yeah, you're this brave warrior, blah blah. You accomplished so much. You don't need to prove anything here. So let's continue on the thing. I'll wipe your bill and go on. Kirsten is like, oh, screw you.
And I'm
I'm
done.
doing what I want. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm so pissed. Your pleasantries are not gonna stop
Not
me
gonna.
this time.
Yeah.
And so he rips that transition's arm off, and I was like, yes. I thought it was so cool. I'm
I
glad
like
that they didn't hold back on that one.
I like how Boba Fett just kind of follows him out there. He's like, "Hey man, you sound like you need a job."
Yeah,
That's
I,
cool.
I, I was pretty happy with that because I knew that was going to happen at some point. And so it's like, okay,
I know I was
all right,
waiting for
let's
that too.
because they worked together in the past. So I wish
Well,
that
I'm
they
just
kind
thinking
of
too.
made it
I just
seem
want
like
to
they knew each other a little bit better.
just
And
want
I
to
think they
see.
kind of did, but it didn't really convey it too much.
Yeah, sure, sure. It'd just be fun to see Boba Fett's his crew build up, and you want to see strong characters in his crew. And Chris Hansen's definitely would be a good asset to Boba Fett's family build.
Yeah, because like we mentioned in the last podcast, one thing that we liked about Consent is that they didn't defeat him in the last episode. They trapped him. He didn't go
Yeah,
down because they defeated him.
that's true.
He
They didn't
went
beat him.
he went down because Fennec was like, "Up, oh, you're on standing on the trapdoor. I'm gonna hit the button. All right, you're going down." Satan remained a strong character.
Yeah,
They had to
he never
resort
lost.
to trapping him in order to stop him.
That's true. That's very true. Um, so, what did you think about the meeting with the leaders of Tatooine and Mos Espa?
I
Or
thought it
was it
was
just Mos? Was it Mos Espa? Or was it like Tatooine? It was areas of Mos
I
Espa,
feel like
right?
the territory. I think the territory itself is Mos Espa, but
Okay.
for the most part, I think it is Tatooine. In the
Okay.
words of
Gotcha.
Tamora, it's Tatooine. I like
Tatooine.
the way he says it.
He always
um,
he always he always breathes after he says something.
Tatooine.
Yeah. Tatooine.
I thought it was kind of cool. I like that Boba, because like Boba Fett, his whole thing is like starting them with he wants to rule with respect, and so this is
Yeah.
one way to do it. It's like bring everybody to a dinner. Okay, I got all of you guys here. Nothing's gonna stop you from killing me and taking over this place. But here we are
Yeah.
talking, and he kind of throws his authority a little around with that Rancor, like, oh, what's gonna stop us from killing you and taking the territory ourselves? And then the Rancor is like, boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh yeah, he's a little hungry. They're like, okay,
Oh yeah.
everybody gets up, and he's like, kind of startles everybody. It's like, okay, yeah, all right, go ahead and sit down, sit down. I'm not gonna kill
No,
you
tell
guys, trust
everybody.
me.
Yeah. 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 You know, it was interesting because fight with him, but he's like, okay, yeah, no big deal. I'm gonna fight by myself. As long as you
Yeah,
stay
he's like, I don't
neutral and
really
just
need
yeah,
you. I don't
yeah.
really need you, but I want you to know that I'm here for you guys. Regardless if
I
you
just
fight by me, I'm gonna fight by myself so you guys can continue to get wealth.
yeah,
And I thought that was really cool.
and they're probably surprised. Do you think that there's obviously going to be some betrayal there? I'm sure in the coming episodes, give or take.
I mean, it's
Or
only
what if all
natural.
that else is because of that different? I wonder if they decide to say, you know, what, let's join with them. What if they, in the end, they end up helping them? You know,
I think they will at some point. I'm pretty sure they will. But I
yeah.
also feel like someone's gonna go against them.
I think you're right because yeah, you can't trust. Because they even made the point to show that scene where she said, you know, do you trust him? And he's kind of like, you know, he obviously doesn't trust him, but he's, you know, doing what he can in this situation.
Yeah, because it's
Um,
like, okay, you either fight with me or don't fight with me at all, but stay neutral. If they tell
but
you to
stay
betray
neutral,
me,
yeah.
don't do it. And all of
Exactly.
them are like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is acceptable. This is acceptable. And I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
this
all
is
right.
acceptable.
You might be able to trust them, but it could go two different ways.
Yeah.
And it could be they just stay neutral. We don't see them ever again until the final episode. and then they all swear allegiance to him after he defeats the Pike gangs, or we'll see Boba struggling against the Pike gang because there's more of them, and these guys
They
are
come in
realizing, okay, yeah, he's actually trying, and they lend their
hand.
strength to help him.
Yeah, no, I can see that being.
I just want to see Boba riding a freaking Rancor into battle. I think that'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people are looking forward to. But yeah, that would be super cool. They've got to have that Rancor have some type of use. I also want to know.
I mean, they introduced it for a reason, so I'm waiting to see what it's gonna do. Everybody wants to see, like we saw the Rancor go against Luke. Luke obviously being a Jedi Knight at the time, being able to outsmart a Rancor and killing it.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Rancor in battle actually doing something, and I think that's something that we're gonna be seeing.
Yeah, no, that would be incredible. That'd be super cool. So my question for you: so at the end, he's up on the balcony with Fennec, and they're talking about, just kind of the end results, what they're going to do.
How much money do you have in the vault?
Yeah, a bit of cash.
Dude, not many people notice this. I was talking to a lot of people. They're like, "Oh yeah, this whole scene." It's like as soon as the scene happened, I didn't catch it at first, and I was like, "No." The moment I heard this music play, she's like, "Oh yeah."
I didn't see. I
got enough credits. I just don't have enough muscle.
You know, it's kind of like you connect that scene with the flare. I didn't catch this. I forgot to mention this too. The second time I saw the episode, when the flare goes off, you hear that kind of Mandalorian whistle. There's that kind of whistle that you hear a lot throughout the show. You see that whistle, hear that whistle when he sees the flare, and then you go back to this scene when he mentions, we need muscle. Then you hear that, you hear that kind of that flute that you always hear with Din Djarin or Mandalorian's theme. So I'm pretty sure I was going to ask you who you think the muscle is. I'm 90% sure we know that's who he's talking about because of those connections.
Yeah, as soon as you said credits can buy muscle, and then the Mandalorian theme plays, I'm like, 100% already know who's going to be showing up in the next few episodes.
That's what he does anyways. Then he'll take on jobs he needs credit still.
And at this point, it's like, okay, after Boba helps Mando go against Moff Gideon, what is Mando up to? Like, a lot of people are wondering. I figured he'd be so involved with Bo-Katan and all that stuff going on. So I wonder if he's gonna like jump in. We're gonna see the Darksaber slicing stuff up every now and then.
Well, you know what I think?
Or if he's just gonna be just regular Mando.
I think there's going to be connection with both shows with this, because I think that they're going to assist him.
I think that's the purpose.
Yeah, fighting the Pikes, and then he's Din Djarin and Bo-Katan are going to use Boba Fett and his crew, his family, to help retake Mandalore in the series finale of Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure, which I think would be cool. Season 3 of Mandalorian. Mandalorian is such a good show. I don't want it to get ran to the dirt. I hope they don't do too many more seasons. I hope season 3 is the last one.
Season 3 has already been confirmed as the last season.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so that makes perfect sense. Series finale of Mandalorian is we're going to get this awesome finale of Boba Fett, get help with this crew, and we're going to see them help each other with Mandalorian, retake Mandalore from the Empire, which would be super cool, by the way, to see Mandalore live action show.
Dude, that's one thing I think I've talked about it in previous podcasts that are no longer available on our site. I would say they're our hidden episodes, but Mandalore is one of the planets I've always wanted to see live action.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really cool to see this all tie into that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great, man. There's a lot to look forward to, dude. That's another thing I love about these live action shows. There's so much they can do, so much they can explore. And I honestly have no idea what they're going to do in the next episode, but I feel like
the next episode is going to be either them trying to contact Mando or it's going to be Rancor training.
Oh, that'd be cool. All I
or a
know is
mix
I'm
of both.
excited. It's just we can move forward with his story now. Finally.
Yeah, because there's no more
Wait,
flashbacks. So now the next 2 episodes are going to focus on present day and him taking over, him
yeah,
gaining basically all of Mount Suspa or Tatooine, reclaiming its glory.
we've built we built his story up to this point.
Yeah,
So yeah, man, that was definitely a solid episode. I think.
I think so too.
I've enjoyed all the episodes so far. Honestly, personally, I've enjoyed them as they go. My favorite so far has actually been episode 2, just because that train
Episode 2 is
heist
still
was
my favorite as well.
super epic. But I enjoy a lot of the simple things in the show, like a lot of the wide shots of the desert.
I do
And
too. I enjoy the scenery. I enjoy a lot of the story building. Like there's some things that are just like, or this is kind of interesting, but I try to look at it as kind of a whole, and I haven't been disappointed because even
me
in
neither.
Mandalorian season 1, things I thought were kind of like slow.
Yeah.
You jump into season 2 and it's like, okay, all right, this is a big thing. And
No,
then even jumping into
season
in
two of
Boba Fett,
Mandalorian was by far season 2 of Mandalorian was by far my favorite so far of these shows. That episode, that whole season was solid.
they keep gaining momentum, and
Yeah.
that's one of the things. It's like, okay, maybe slow to you guys, but look at the bigger picture. It's going to tie in somewhere else. They're building
No,
stuff.
I think that it's really going to. I think this next episode is really where the show's going to pick up. Or like you said, maybe they'll be like Training with a Rancor or this and that. But
Mm-hmm.
if anything, I think if it's not this episode, when you get to 6 and 7, regardless, 6 and 7 are going to be amazing. I have a feeling it's going to
I
be
already
like,
feel that those two are going to be the most action.
yeah. If anything, this episode, I think this next episode coming out is really going to give us the look on what's going to be the end of this show, or where the direction of the show is going to go, and then all the good stuff's probably going to be 6 and 7, I'm sure. But yeah, man, it's going to a lot to look forward to.
Absolutely. Overall, I think this episode was pretty good. I give it like a solid 7.5.
That's fair. I'll give it an 8.
Yeah, I was debating about 8, but I was like 7.5 seems a little bit more fair.
I give it an
But
8. Episode 3, episode 2 was a 9. I give this one an 8. I'll give the third one a 7. And the first one,
fair enough.
I'll give the first one a 7. Fourth one a 7. The third, or sorry, the first episode I'll give a 7. The second episode I'll give a 9. Third episode a 7, and then this episode I'll give it an 8.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah.
But really enjoyed the episode. Can't wait to see what they're gonna do with the rest of the season.
Same here.
But all right, guys. So please be sure to like and comment. It helps people find us better when there's more activity, and share with your friends. Be sure to check out the links in the description where you can find our Discord, where you can chat with other fans like yourselves and discuss the mysteries of the Star Wars universe. Also, be sure to follow us on Instagram, where we continue to post updates and news. And if you're looking for some new shirts that shows your love of Star Wars, then we have you covered. We have some designs that we worked on and know you guys will love. So check out our Teespring link below. So Echo 2 out.
Echo 5 out. May the force be with you.
Always.